Just a real quick update on our progress. So pretty much to the point where we're ready to put an engine on our air compressor. This is the engine that came with it. It's about a 7-horse Honda engine. But kind of the whole thing here is to be restoring something that was made in America in the very early 40s, and the Honda engine just doesn't go with that theme. It's a good engine to have for a backup for when I'm using this to do a lot of sandblasting. It doesn't take long to swap the motor out. But Jim and I went and found this old antique Briggs & Stratton that we thought we were getting a super deal on, because it was only 25 bucks, but got some serious issues. But, and the guy that we got it from likes to keep the air cleaners and stuff that I found out is really hard to find. But I've done some research on these engines. I mean, this engine just looks right on here. It goes here. I mean, it's a 41 air compressor, and that's a 42 engine, so that's what would be on there. And I did a little research on them, know a little more about what to buy and not to buy. This is still well worth the 25 bucks because it's rebuildable. But I'm gonna go pick up another one that's got the parts on it that are hard to find, and see if I can put the two together and make one good engine, so we have a period correct made in the USA engine on our made in the USA air compressor. So I'll be back. Yeah, we're back. This is Rick and Izzy. We're in North Vancouver today, and we're going to meet a guy named Louie who has a 1940 Briggs & Stratton engine. Did a little research on Briggs & Stratton. We know a little more about what to buy and what not to buy. And this is probably a pretty good buy for 75 bucks. Doesn't run, but it's got all the parts on it. We found Louie's house. Kind of hearing the same thing with a lot of this old stuff that I get, or you talk to a guy and he says, oh, he's held onto this engine for like 15 years and he wanted to restore it, and he's just said, you know, I'm getting too old and I don't have time to restore it, and I don't understand this mentality. If you got it, just do it. You know? I'm going to assume we're back here. Yeah, he's kind of back here in the weeds. We'll see what he's got. He might have some cool old stuff. If he does, I'll be back. Yeah, the old days they'd put information on everything.
Yeah, everything was there, so we didn't have, of course, you know, who knew then that when the internet is going to be, that stuff.
Yeah, we were still worrying about making stuff like this.
Yeah, and it's designed to run for practically forever.
Yeah.
It's not like the stuff they make now. They engineer it so that when the
it has a life expectancy.
Life expectancy, like that, you know, like pretty much like the warranty period.
Yeah.
And after that, it start to go down.
Yeah, these they made. They built them with pride because they wanted their stuff to work forever. Because that's how you developed a reputation, and people kept coming to you to buy their stuff.
I am really, because I used to work on appliances and, you know, just about anything, but mainly appliances. And I tell you, I'm so disappointed the way the designers think now. Yeah. Because it's deliberately done that way.
Well, what I noticed, Louis, when I was restoring that air compressor, it had been painted several times, and the method of painting it was just to paint the whole thing over everything. And it's horrible to try to clean something up like that, especially 70 years old. But underneath all that, I kept finding all these fittings and everything and valves that were made out of brass and copper, and I polished them all up. And I was thinking while I was polishing all this, they don't build stuff like this anymore. There's no way that they would put a more expensive metal there for any reason. But they did it back then to keep it from corroding, and they knew it would last longer, and
well, that's basically forever.
Yeah.
As long as everything else.
it still looks brand new. When I polished it up, everything looked great.
Well, those parts are replaced with plastics and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
You actually you just put a little bit of boom and it's already
Bump into it and it breaks. Oops. Yeah. Well, this is a good deal. We're going to go ahead and get this, and hopefully with this and the other one we have, I can get one good running motor out of the deal. Probably wouldn't hurt to keep some parts for spares, though, if I'm planning on keeping it. You know, they are getting a little difficult to find.
Oh yeah, and the value is there, really. Because I noticed that there's started to get more and more people getting into this. And
old stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw the tank sitting back there. All right.
You
We gotta
know
go
what
look.
it was?
Huh?
I just recently replaced that tank.
There's the tank. I got this buddy, Jim, who's got an obsession for tanks. I give him a hard time about it because...
that was a water heater.
That was a water heater?
Water heater.
Oh, yeah.
And when you look at the date on it, you're not going to believe it.
What's the date?
Guess.
1941.
Okay, we were pretty close. It's 47.
1947.
It worked. It worked. Look at that. 411.47.
Yeah. 411.47. What would you need to get for that, Louie?
You're not going to believe it. The scrap value on these now, about $3.60 a pound.
Yeah?
$3.60 a pound.
Got a little dent there, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, but I think when I pulled it off the truck,
oh no.
I think it slipped up a little bit. But
how many pounds do you think it weighs?
I'm guessing probably 40, 50 pounds, easily. Well, close, right?
Probably, yeah. 40, I'd say.
Yeah. But I couldn't believe it when I pulled the jacket off. I said, copper.
So you think it's worth what, about $150 in scrap?
Well, pretty close.
Yeah, right around there.
Yeah, right around there.
She's a freak.
Look at her going.
Isabella!
Coming right here.
She's funny. Yeah, definitely. I'd love to see that all polished up.
Oh man.
I bet it'd be beautiful.
Oh yes, indeed. Yes,
yeah.
indeed.
So I just wanted to catch a little bit of what's going on before I tear into the engine project. Didn't know much about Briggs & Stratton engines a couple weeks ago, but I've done a lot of study on them. This is the first engine. I went with Jim and everyone, and we went down and I bought this from a guy named Stan. And I believe if you look at some of the older footage of when we went down there, I was making a big stink about it missing the air cleaner. And do you know what kind of air cleaner it had on it?
Yeah, and they're very hard to find. I can show you the air cleaners. I have some in my shop in there.
You don't have any that go to this motor?
To what? No, I do not.
Do you have any for sale?
No.
Over summer.
When you find them,
Look at my shirt.
Let's have a gander at it.
you know,
Yeah.
everybody,
big.
when they got to work on the carb, they take them off.
Yeah.
They never put them back
Right.
on. And they're very hard to find.
Does this look like an air?
Yeah, you can
Let's go see what an air cleaner like that looks like that we can't buy.
Found out they're really hard to get and everything, and as well as gas tanks that are in nice condition. And it's got some issues. It needs to be rebuilt, but I don't want to just put the Honda engine back on the air compressor. Put too much work into it, and I want it to be correct. So this engine right here, I bought for $75. It's got a perfect, well, it's got one little ding in the gas tank, but it's nice. And the whole air cleaner, it's got parts that, accessory parts that'll make our engine look nice when we get them painted up and cleaned up. And it'll be period correct, because that's a 1947 Model B. It's a little bit smaller than these. The original one we bought is a 1942. It was built in October 1942, Model Z. I liked it because it had the hand crank, and it was within the same year that our compressor was built. This is a 1947 model ZZ. Basically the same engine as this. The differences are they started going to stamped steel for the covers on the engine and the head, whereas this is a cast. It's a lot heavier and thicker. You got your model number and all that right here. The cylinder head's a little bit different too on these two. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tear all three of these motors down, and I'm going to use this block. I'm going to use our 1942 blower housing, cranks system and everything, and the accessories off of that. So I'll come back when I have everything tore down, and then the next time we come back we'll have an engine, hopefully. Quick update on the engine status for our 1941 DeVilbiss Air Compressor. Tore all three of the engines down. This is the original engine that we purchased for $25, 1942, Briggs & Stratton. Had a little interesting surprise I found in the crankcase. See that chunk of metal right there? Actually, there's a few of them, one there, a couple more there. Those came from this piece right here, which is part of the governor assembly. And no, the gears aren't supposed to move around like that. You can see our other one. All that stuff looks pretty good, and no metal in the pan, no chunks. So it's kind of an involved job. What we're trying to do is put this 1942 style cover instead of this later 1947 style cover on. We like the crank start as opposed to wrapping a rope around that and starting it. Plus, this is kind of cheesy. Stamped steel cover, you can see it bends real easy. This is solid metal right here. That's what we want. Problem is, you can't just bolt this to this newer block because it doesn't have in the crankcase right there on the corner. See right there in the corner. No hole. So that's why I split the crankcase like that. I'll put that crankcase right there off the 1942 engine on this 1947 engine. Also, this one's got an oil pickup tube on it that runs into that governor assembly. Apparently, they decided later that a splash system would be better, and I'm going to leave that like that. We have to change the flywheels out, and one of the reasons for that is that this one's got a broken fin off here. It doesn't make a big difference, but this is how you balance the engine out, so anything we can do that. Also, that looks real cruddy in there, whereas this one looks a little bit better. You see they changed a few things around, or that one's just plain cruddier. You know, I also have to change the back shield. Right there, you can see they're a little bit different. But I'm pretty sure I can change all this stuff over, so we can start using that. Another big difference between the two engines. 1947 had this thin cover right here, and you can see that's the cylinder head itself. And you can see this one right here is a little more beefier, and I like that. So we're going to switch the cylinder heads out. We've got all our parts for our oil bath air cleaner system that we took off the little black engine over there. Also snatched the gas tank off of it, which is in really nice shape, as opposed to this one, which is seriously hammered. Also got a nice muffler, a little black one that I can use, unless I put that motorcycle exhaust system on it. And we will use the carburetor off the 47 and make it all work with the 1942 block and everything. So right now what I'll do is I'll get a big box and box up all the stuff we're not going to use and start cleaning up what we're going to use, and we should have a good running motor pretty soon for our air compressor project.